I just got home from a full day at work. Got there half an hour early so I could frost pink cupcakes because it was a special feast day at my Catholic school that I teach at. I teach at a Sacred Heart school. And in the 1840s, a novice nun who didn't know any better didn't realize that Mary was always painted in blue. And she painted a mural. She painted Mary in a big mural on a wall and painted her in youthful pink. And for many, many years, decades maybe, it was covered over until a priest had them remove the covering and was like, why are we hiding this? It's beautiful. I'll put a picture of Mater here. This is the feast honoree today, but we wear pink on this day, on this feast day. We eat pink cupcakes on this feast day, and we have a mass. I'm not Catholic, but I can participate in almost everything except for the taking of the host. I go and get a blessing instead. And it's a nice day. It's a nice day. It's a fun day. But I've taught, I've gone to a religious service, I've done some baking, I've walked home, I've entertained my dog, I have opened a can of Coke because I need a can of Coke, and I have sat down to try and get this TBR filmed. I am having the hardest time filming anything in October, and I'm already, 5 days past my normal time for posting my TBRs, and I just want to get this out there. So I wanted to try and film before it got dark. I'm gonna film, I'm gonna quickly edit, and I'm gonna get this out tonight. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. And I will probably be doing this every afternoon this week because I don't have any after school things this week, which is awesome. But my weekends have been very full. So I haven't filmed on any weekends. I haven't felt like filming during weekdays, but I'm going to actually film all the videos I need to film, probably like this, right after school, every day this week. So probably will be a lot of videos coming out this week. I'll say I'll try to do better in November, and maybe I will, but maybe I won't. We'll see. We'll see how I feel. I love being on this channel. I love sharing all these things with you. I actually kind of enjoy filming and editing a little bit too. You know, I don't do anything super special most of the time, but sometimes I just want to live life, not record it. So that's where I'm at right now, and I think that's fine and healthy. But I also want to share this stack of books and drink my vanilla Coke with you. I needed this fizzy sugar. Let's do this. The name of the game in picking these books this month was compelling, sink into it storytelling. That's what I'm looking for. A lot of these are, I realized after I picked them, YA fantasy, actually. A lot of them are YA fantasy. Some of them are romance, some of them are new to you, some of them you will have seen before. All of them are books I really, really want to read right now. I think I have 21 total, which is probably more than I'll be able to read, but also, you know, in November, I've got most of the Thanksgiving week off, and there's a lot of downtime there. Fun stuff to do too, but there's a lot of downtime during that week. And also it's going to start getting cold and dark, and that means that I will be spending more time curled up on the couch. Lola, the dog, will also be wanting to stay inside more. Yeah. Also, I read romance and YA pretty quickly. So yeah, I might be able to get through all of these. We'll see. First, I'm going to tell you about the 4 books that I absolutely will read. I'll start with these 2 because I've already put out the introductory video for them, so I won't say anything here, but these are the 2 books for the Books Love Everyone book group for November. Stalking the Divine is our nonfiction pick, and A Quiet Life by Ethan Joella is our fiction pick. And I think these are going to be calming, grounding, centering books for the month of November. If you want to know about them, you can watch. It's just a 5-minute video that introduces them and tells you about the club. The reading club. The reading is a club group. It's not a club. It's not a club. The other thing that I'm going to read for sure is my 12 and 12 pick. This month, or November's pick, is The Baron in the Trees by Italo Calvino. This will be my second Calvino. I read If on a Winter's Night a Traveler several years ago and just loved it so much. So when my friend Brecca said, you need to read this, The Baron in the Trees, I said, sure, why not? She speaks Italian and she was reading it in Italian. And I will be reading an English translation, but I would love to talk about it with her and find out what's different, like what subtleties of language are present, because language is really, really important to Calvino. So I am curious about this as a translated work. I'm also just curious about the story itself. From what I understand, this one is about a young man, a baron in the 1700s in Italy, who leaves the ground. He climbs into a tree and decides he's going to live there for the rest of his life. And he creates a society up there, and he has like a full life with grounded people, and I think maybe people move into the trees with him. I'm not sure. I don't know what the message is. I don't know what the so what of this book is, but I'm curious. And I loved what Calvino did with If on a Winter's Night a Traveler. And so I have high hopes. I actually have really high hopes for this one. And so I'm going to go into this with a big open heart and excitement, lots of excitement. This one is my Catherine Center for the month of November. This is Get Lucky. The thing about this is this was a really lucky placement because Get Lucky takes place in November. It takes place over Thanksgiving. I'll probably read this over Thanksgiving. It was a lucky placement because back in December of 2024, I decided that I wanted to read one Catherine Center a month for the 12 months of 2025 to read her entire backlist, reread all the books that I've already read, and just be able to say, like, I've read everything she's published so far. Because I really, really love her books. They feel so good, so comfortable. They make me laugh out loud. They make me think. They do give a little bit of challenge, but they also are just so safe and comfortable at the same time. I can relax when I'm reading them. I can relax completely when I'm reading them. Do crazy things happen in them? Absolutely. But the characters always learn and grow and come out of them stronger and more themselves than they were when the bad thing happens. So they are, in my opinion, safe books and very enjoyable, and they make me laugh and I love them. So I wanted to read everything she had written. I kind of started reading her around the time of The Bodyguard and have read pretty much everything from The Bodyguard forward, but had not read any of her backlist. So at the beginning of the year, I just randomly placed books. The only thing that I knew that I wanted for sure was that I wanted to start the year reading books that I had never read by her, do the books, the rereads in the middle of the year, and end the year reading books I had never read by her. So I just kind of randomly placed titles. They weren't in any kind of order. They were just in a whimsical order. And I got lucky and ended up putting the book that takes place in November. So I'm really excited to read this. This is about a woman who has to go back to her hometown and face things there. I don't know. And she's going over Thanksgiving. One thing that I've noticed about Catherine Center's early work is that while most of it is very funny rom-com romance, very focused on the romance, very focused on a female character's growth in some aspect, some area of life, her older work is very much focused on motherhood, which is really interesting. She's got some interesting takes on it. I am not a mother. I don't intend to ever be a mother. I feel like I've been raising other people's children for my whole life. So I like being able to have those mothering, nurture, giving experiences and give them back to their parents. But I do find it very interesting to read her different perspectives on motherhood. And I don't know if this one is about motherhood or if this is the one where she starts to like step away from that and into what feels more like classic Catherine Center to me, which is more rom-com-y. I'm not sure, but we'll find out. Get lucky. Very excited. I'm also very excited about the next one I'm going to tell you about. I found both of these in a little free library, same little free library on the same day. So I think they probably came from the same previous owner. And they are two vintage paperbacks. They look pretty trashy, but I'm excited to read them both. The first one is Autumn of the Witch. I'm going to read the back to you because the back is priceless, okay? It says, "It was to save her father from ruin that Stephanie had married Santino Ventura and gone to live with him in his castle in Sicily. Santino had made it clear that he had not married her because he wanted a real wife, but a companion for his small daughter. But why, oh, why had he done it at all?" This is from, I think, 1971 or 72. It was 60 cents when it was first purchased. Really, I feel like I got lucky with that one. And then this one sounds so much like me, and it's blurbed on the front by Mary Stewart. And when I looked up the author, I realized, oh, this is like an author that she wasn't on my radar at all. This is Winterwood by Dorothy Eden. Again, Dorothy Eden was not on my radar at all, but now I think I'm kind of excited about the kind of books she writes, and I'm hoping that I love this so much, because if I do, this may open up a whole another set of books for me to dive into. Mary Stewart is a favorite author of mine. I love Mary Stewart. The back of this book is also dynamite. Precious. Here we go. Winterwood. A huge English country estate of brooding immensity and shadowy secrets seems like a sanctuary to Lavinia. For the beautiful and penniless young woman hired as companion for the invalid daughter of the wealthy Marians is fleeing the strange, dark ghosts of her own scandalous past. But it is not long before Lavinia is aware that the atmosphere of Winterwood is filled with odd menace, the silent struggle for the fortune of the cantankerous old Lady Tamison, who is dying most reluctantly, casts an evil spell over the entire household, and no one, not even Lavinia or the innocent child she is protecting, is safe from it. Yes, please, and more? Yeah, I'm very into that. So good. I'm very excited about this one too. I've said that about every single book because it's true. This is the sequel to the Millicent Quibb School of Etiquette for Young Ladies of Mad Science. I read that one, I think, in November of last year, and I'm excited to read the second one. I will read this because if it's like the first one, there will be plenty of things that I want to underline, but I will also listen to this because it is read by the author, SNL's Kate McKinnon, and this series is an absolute delight. I adore the first book, and I believe I will adore the second book. I can't tell you much about it, but I will say that Millicent Quibb is a dangerous individual in the town that they live in. The book is incredibly funny, but it has a lot to say about the way children see the adult world, and I think it's fabulous. So, looking forward to that one. I'm going to keep continuing on and reading this series. This is the third book in the Mirror Visitor series. I'm not going to say anything about it. I guess I've kind of done, maybe I didn't review the first one when I finished it in September. There are 4 books in the series, and I read them a while ago, and I wanted to do a reread, and I am doing one a month from September to December. And I'm really enjoying reading them so close together. This is just my second read as well, and I'm surprised at how much I remember, and I'm really surprised at how much I had forgotten. I'm just enjoying it a lot, and I don't know that I'm saying much about it as I reread it. I often reread things and I don't even mention it on my channel at all. Sometimes I reread something and I mention it. Most of the time I reread something and I don't. But I am prioritizing this, and I also want more people to read these. So if you haven't read these before, or if you read them and it's time for a reread, I highly suggest it. They are excellent. Okay, this one. I just have a stack and I'm just pulling. There's no rhyme or reason or order to this. This is just come away with me to the land of stories. I am so excited about this one. This will be my third book being read by this author. That is The Possession of Alba Diaz by Isabel Cañes. And I have loved everything that this woman has written, and I know that I am going to love this one too. This one takes place in the 1700s in Mexico, and it is about a family that for some reason has to flee and live in some kind of mine shaft or something, or maybe a cave of some sort. And Alba's going to get possessed. She's going to get possessed. And I know that she's really going to get possessed. I don't know what the story is going to be about, though. So we'll find out. But that's all I want to know. And I'm going to go into it pretty uninformed and enjoy that. This is one I tried to read earlier. I think I tried to read this in the summer and it wasn't the right time. So I put it down and knew that I would pick it up again in the fall or the winter. And when I saw it on my shelf, I was like, yes, please. Yes, let's do this now. So this is The Beautiful Maddening by Shea Earnshaw. And this is about tulips. This is about a family in the United States whose uncle or great-great-grandfather or somebody immigrated here, ran here from the Netherlands, having stolen the last batch of bulbs of a particular kind of tulip during that time when tulips were more profitable and worth more than gold or diamonds or anything, tulip fever time. And he steals this bag of bulbs and brings them to the States. But the thing is that they're cursed or enchanted. And so everybody in this family, when they see these tulips or come close to these tulips or something like that, they fall in love. It's some kind of love hex or love spell. And I don't know where the story is going, but I really liked the writing a lot. And I may be getting parts of the premise wrong, but that's what I remember. And so I'm just curious. I'm curious. This one. I own so many books by this author. I just pulled the one that felt the most November to me on the cover. It's probably been on previous TBRs. I own, I think, 5 or 6 books by this author. Do you know how many I've read? 0. None. Nada. Not one. Nil. Zip. No books. And I know I've put many of her books on many a TBR for many a year. So maybe this will be the month. The one that I thought looked most like November is The Premonition at Wither's Farm by Jamie Jo Wright. And this woman, she writes thrillers. She's a Christian author. She writes thrillers. Her premises really intrigue me. Thus, I keep getting cheap copies of her books when they come up at Book Outlet. I hope I like her because I own a lot of her books. And I know that there's always some kind of hint of the supernatural in her books that then turn out to be very human. And I'm okay with that. I prefer it to actually be supernatural. But if it's a thriller, it's a thriller, and that's what it is. And I'll know that going in. She also always has multiple timelines. I think dual timelines is her thing, but I do feel like I've read the back of one or two where there's more than 2 timelines, but there are 2 timelines in this one. And those timelines usually somehow intersect or influence each other in some vital way. I don't know much more about this. I don't want to know much more about this. I think that I will enjoy this if the writing is good. if the writing is good. We shall see. This is another Christian author. I have read one other book by this author. She writes YA fantasy, and I read one that she wrote called Romanov. I bought Romanov, and I just thought that it was YA historical fiction about Anastasia, but it was YA fantasy, magical realism about the Romanov family and the Bolshevik Revolution. It was really, really well done, and I really enjoyed it. I was a little bit blown away by it. It took me years to read it because I thought it was one thing. When I picked it up to read it as one thing, I realized it was something else, and I loved it even more than I thought I would when I thought it was the other thing. Did that make sense? But I read up on her other books. Some of them, like this, like her latest pandemic one, I probably won't ever go near. But she has one about Guy Fawkes, or it's called Fawkes, and she has this one. And there are two that I would really, really like to read. This one is Wistress. And this author is Nadine Brandes. I'm not sure how to say her last name. She is a woman who I have followed on Instagram long before I read anything by her. And I really like her. I just like her vibe. And then I read Romanov and actually purchased Romanov separately from realizing that it was this woman who I follow on Instagram, and then put the two together and went, oh my goodness, she's an author. Oh my goodness, I've read this book. Oh my goodness, I love her writing. So sometimes I'm a little slow on the uptake. So I'm excited to read this one. This is a fantasy. It is about a girl who, when she cries, something happens. I actually think I need to read the flap for this one. So it's going to tell us about two different characters, and then it's going to tell us about their quest. And I'm not going to read much about the quest because I personally haven't read much about the quest part at all myself. And I don't think I want to know everything that's on the flap. So I'm going to read you part of the flap. It says, she didn't ask to be the Wistress. Now, I will also say that I do find these names and titles of things very cheesy, a little bit Pilgrim's Progress-y, which turns me off a little bit. I'm glad this isn't the first book by this author that I'm reading, because I probably wouldn't have picked it up had I read this flap with these words. But I know I loved Romanov. I have high hopes, and I'm intrigued by this premise. So I'm talking to myself here. Let's cut her some slack with the naming of the things. Okay, so Mirth is the name of the girl, is the name of the Wistress, but it's spelled Myrthe, Mirth. Mirth was born with the ability to turn her tears into wishes. But when a granted wish goes wrong, she is cursed. The next tear she sheds will kill her. She must travel to the well, W, capital W, to break the curse before it can claim her life, and before the king's military, but it's spelled Militairen, find her. To survive the journey, Mirth must harden her heart to keep herself from crying even a single tear. The next paragraph says, he can stop time with the snap of his fingers. I can't snap with that hand. Snap of his fingers. Bastian's powerful and rare talent, with a capital T, came in hand when he kidnapped the old king. Now the new king has a job for him. Find the Wistress and deliver her to the Schloss, which means castle. But Bastian needs a wish of his own. He gains Mirth's trust by promising to take her to the well, capital W. But once he gets what he needs, he'll turn her in, as long as his growing feelings for the girl with a stone heart don't compromise him. Their quest can end only one way, with her death. And that's as much as I will say. That's as much as I know. That's as much as I have read. So, like I said, the naming of things is a little bit cheesy, and that annoys me just a little bit. But I'm going to I'm gonna cut it some slack. I'm gonna be more gracious than I want to be because I know that I have valued this author's writing already. So I'm looking forward to it, and I am very into that premise. I have one more stack here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 more physical books and 2 pre-orders that I want to tell you about. Let's take a moment and talk about those pre-orders. So the first pre-order I have is another Christian author. I'm reading so many Christian authors right now. We're in the month of November. And I'm not familiar with this author. I don't remember her name, but it's on the screen for you right here. And the book that I am reading by her is also on the screen right here, but it is called Sonora. And it is about the same real life person who the movie Wild Hearts Can't Be Broken is about. In the 90s, Disney put out a movie called Wild Hearts Can't Be Broken, and it was and is about a woman in the 1920s, a girl who moves to Atlantic City or Coney Island or somewhere, and she learns how to dive horses off of a high dive into a small pool. And one day she's doing this. It's a very popular exhibit, and one day she's doing this and she hits the water in such a way that the pressure on her eyes causes her, I think, her retinas to disengage, and she goes blind. And she teaches herself how to work with a horse to continue to do this dive, even though nobody wants her to do that. They feel like it's just death-defying. And this is a book about Sonora. It's fiction, but it will be much more fleshed out, I think. And I'm really curious to know what more she can add to the story than was already told in Wild Hearts Can't Be Broken. This is a person who I was obsessed with, a story I was obsessed with, a movie I was obsessed with in the 90s. And I personally am very surprised that I have not gone down more rabbit trails about this woman. And I'm sure, I'm holding myself back now that I know this book is coming out. I'm holding myself back from doing that. But I'm sure once I finish reading this book, I will definitely be learning more about the real life Sonora, if that's available out there in the world, which in this day and age, of course it is. The other pre-order I have is the second and final book in the Bristol Keats duology. I read the first one, I think a year ago. I think I read it in November a year ago. It was my book of the month selection. I didn't know anything about it, and it kind of surprised me in a pleasant way. It's not great, and I hated the way that it ended, but I do want to finish the story. I want to know what happens to many of the characters, and I did really enjoy the world building that was happening. I really did. I liked the way that fairies are introduced into this story. And so, yeah, I'm going to read the second and final installment in the Bristol Keats duology. So now let's finish up with my last stack of books here. I have put this on a previous TBR, but I didn't read it at that time. I think I put it on a February TBR. It is the second book in the Haven Ridge series. I think there are 3 books and a novella in the series. The first book I read last year in November and just loved it so much. It was called The Broken Hearts Bakery, and the author is Carla Laureano. And this is a self-published book. The quality of this book is fabulous, fabulous. It's floppy, it feels quality, but it is published by her. She did an excellent job, and the writing is stellar, and the editing is professional. It's so good. Yeah, I sometimes I have a very negative interaction with self-published books, but this is a wonderful series. You can read these on Kindle, but I like a physical copy. And they might even be on Kindle Unlimited if you have that. I highly recommend these. They were so good. I can't tell you much about this second book because I do know that it is about one of the characters in the first book, and to tell you anything about this one reveals things about the first book, and the first book is so good I want you to enjoy it without knowing much about it at all. Once I've read this though, and I will be able to like pull out and piece together a little bit of plot for you that won't ruin the first book. But at this moment, I can't do that. I'm really looking forward to this though. Stellar writing, excellent, excellent storytelling, beautiful romance, and yeah, really looking forward to this. This is the Beacon Street Bookshop. I have another super floppy, so floppy. I love the flop. I just love it. Like, you can literally roll this book up. Like, I love it. This is not a Christian author. Carla Laureano is a Christian author, but she has faith content, but she doesn't do any preaching or anything like that in her books, which I love. So this is my first Lynn Painter. At the end of the school year last year, I got several Barnes & Noble gift cards from families at the end of the year, and one of them I used to get this. This is Lynn Painter, Made for Each Other, a Barnes & Noble exclusive edition. Sometimes when I get gift cards, I get overwhelmed with trying to make a choice. Like, how do I decide what to give this to? I don't know why it feels so important. And so my fix for that is often to just go into the bookstore or go onto the online platform and pick something that I probably would not have used my own money to purchase. This is one of those. So I am going to give this a read. This is something that I think I need to read the back of. I'm not exactly sure what this is about, so let's find out. Oh, I remember. I remember. She is a maid. She works for a very wealthy man cleaning a skyrise apartment. Like, what's that called? The top floor. What's it called? Penthouse. The penthouse of a very wealthy man. And she knows he's hardly ever there. She ends up having to find a place to stay for a week. She's also a student. And so she's working full time. She's going to school full time. And her own home, the apartment building gets infested with, I think, bed bugs or something like that. And so she has to evacuate and find somewhere else to live for a week or 2 weeks. And she doesn't have the money or the time to figure this out. And so she's like, I know he's never there, so I'm just gonna very carefully stay there. He'll never know. Everything will be clean. I'm allowed to go in there anyway. I have keys. And this is working for her for a while until one day she comes out of the bedroom and goes into the kitchen, and there's 2 elderly people there, his parents. And they seem to know her, but they don't know her as the cleaning lady. They think she is his girlfriend. It's giving me While You Were Sleeping vibes in a way. And I love While You Were Sleeping. So I think this is going to be fun and funny. I've never read anything by Lynn Painter. She comes highly recommended by all my middle school students. So I am looking forward to giving her a try. This is not a YA. This is an adult. And I don't think that her adult novels lack spice. I think they have spice in them. So just to warn you, but I do know that her YA novels are spice-free. All right. Melissa Tagg is also a Christian author. This is also a independently published book. This is also, and it's very good quality. Again, extremely good quality. And it is also on Kindle Unlimited, I think. But again, I like the physical copy. And also, lots of alsos here. This has been on a previous TBR. I think, in fact, it was on last November's TBR. It is called Autumn by the Sea, so I'm pretty sure it was on a November TBR, and I just haven't gotten to it yet. This one is about a girl who was adopted, and she's trying to find her birth family, and that's all I remember. Maybe we should read the back. It says, abandoned as a toddler, Sydney Rose has spent years wondering who she really is. Homesick for a life she's never lived. When a private investigator crashes into her world, she finds herself heading to a tiny seaside town in Maine to meet a woman named Maggie, who's searching for the granddaughter she lost decades ago. If not for Maggie, Neil McKean might still be back in Scotland, bereft and alone. Instead, he has a full life in Muir Harbor with an adopted family he loves and a blueberry farm to run. It's always blueberries. But the farm is struggling and strange occurrences have him concerned. Worse, Maggie's once again caught up in the past, convinced she's finally found her long-lost daughter. Worried for Maggie, Neil is suspicious of the city girl who shows up at the farm, but there's something about Sydney that tugs on him, drawing out the secrets he never meant to share. While Neil grapples with the future of the farm, Sydney wrestles with a past that's messier than ever. Together, they're pulled into a mystery complete with a centuries-old legend, unexpected danger, and a love as deep and wild as the sea. So, it just sounds good. It sounds very good. I know that this author gets mixed reviews, and some books seem to be much more well-loved than others. I've not read her, but the story has called to me since the beginning. I do have a hard time remembering it. I think it's been 2 or 3 years I've been trying to read this one. So maybe this will be the month. This was an impulse pick for Book of the Month a couple of months ago, and I did start to read it just to see if I would enjoy it, and I think I will. I got to page 65. I think I will enjoy it, but it wasn't the right time. I needed more darkness to enjoy this one, and that is Immortal Consequences. This is the first in, I think, a duology, and it is, you know, your classic magic school or special school setting and trials and difficulties. It's a little bit Phantasma, a little bit Hunger Games, a little bit Harry Potter. So we'll see how it goes. I mean, it's supposed to be dark academia. I don't think it's quite dark academia because I don't think there's much academic about it, but it's dark and it takes place in a school. It says on the back, 6 rivals, 1 victor, eternity is only the beginning. So yeah, and I got it in August of 2025. Thanks, Book of the Month, for letting me know that I've been sitting on this for months. So I'm gonna enjoy this. I think it's probably not going to be like knock my socks off or anything like that, but I do think I'm going to have a good time with it. Oh, this is one I really want to read, but also really don't want to read because it's the final book in a series that I have loved so much. This is Dawnlands by Philippa Gregory. I've put this on TBRs this year, multiple TBRs this year, and even when I haven't like blatantly put it on a TBR, I've kept it on my TBR shelf all year. I want to read it, and I don't want to read it because I have really come to love Philippa Gregory books. They read a little slow for me, but they are so rich in storytelling and characterization, and she really rewards a careful reader. You know, insights and not some Easter egg type stuff, but it's really more about providing you all of the things you need to make a deep inference and then not putting a flashing neon arrow telling you that this is what you should be seeing. Like, she's very subtle in her brilliance. And I think she's underrated. I know people love her, but I don't think they appreciate what a really, really excellent author she is. Because her subject matter tends to deal with things that have been overly saturated, like Henry VIII's Wives, right? I don't have any interest in reading that series, although probably I would love those books by her as well, because I love her writing. But I really love her series that I have discovered because of Whiteacre, where she's writing historical fiction steeped in a moment that is about quote unquote normal people. So this is the 3rd book in a trilogy, and I don't want to say anything about it, mainly because I don't want to read about it. I have read the inside cover before. I have started it and gotten a little bit into it, not super far. Oh, I've even taken the bookmark out. I got 1 or 2, they're not really chapters, but 1 or 2 like sections in. I am gonna love this. I know I am. I'm going to love everything about this. And the fall is the perfect time to read a book like this. So yeah, I'm going to finish the Fair Mile trilogy. This is there's 3 left, 3 more. So this is another book by another author that I love. She wrote the Wolf Den trilogy set in Pompeii, and it is such a stark, painful, brusque writing style that was just perfect for telling a story about these prostitutes and how some of them die and some of them rise in social ranks, and some of them become very important people. It was just this really perfect voice for telling their stories. And like I said, it takes place in Pompeii, and so you've also got Vesuvius, just, you know what's coming, but you don't know how it's going to come. And it was so, so, so good. So now she's put out this one. I don't know how you say this name, but I say Boudica. Just allow me to say Boudica. I know there are other pronunciations, but I'm going to go with Boudica. And this is Boudica's Daughter by Elodie Harper. I did start this one, but I didn't let myself get very far. I only went 1 chapter in because I was like, oh no, this is a November book. All of these, I think I went, oh no, this is a November book. So I'm really wanting to read this. And I know that I will read this month. I know I will. But this is the riveting new novel about the fearless daughter of a Celtic queen from the acclaimed author of the Wolf Den trilogy. And yes, she is Celtic, but this daughter is going to end up, I think her name is Solina, she's going to end up going to Rome. And Rome, I think, is really Elodie Harper's specialty. So excited to get back into her writing. It's very harsh. Her writing is very harsh. And I don't mean her storytelling or her characters. I mean, she's got these short, sparse, biting sentences. And I generally really don't like it. Like, Hemingway is my least favorite author on this earth. Don't get me started on Hemingway. But in Elodie Harper's hands, that kind of language, that kind of like, just the facts. Like, this, I'm just going to tell you what you need to know. I really love it. I don't know. I really love it. So I am excited to enter a new world with her. Familiar, but new. And then I have 2 YA fantasy books to end on. This one is by Anna Bright, and it is The Hedge Witch of Foxhall. This is, I think, based on Welsh folklore. So it says, magic is fading from Wales, choked off by King Offa's dike, the enemy earthwork that spans the entire border. Even the dragons have disappeared, and now an attack is imminent. Prince Taliesin would love to watch magic die. Prince David fears it and the throne. But when their father promises the ground to whichever son can destroy the dike and restore magic to Wales, the brothers are forced into an uneasy rivalry. Fionn works hedge witch magic for poor folk, not princes. Unlike the power-hungry Foxhall Coven, she uses only what nature can spare. But when the Coven's greed costs Fionn everything, she will need power beyond her wildest dreams to get back what she's lost. So when Prince Taliesin arrives, begrudgingly seeking a witch's aid, Fionn agrees to help him, even if it means walking from one end of Wales to the other with the most useless peacock she's ever clapped eyes on. Does that mean an actual peacock? That seems rather random and delightful. Even if it means striking a bargain with David behind Tal's back. The fate of Wales depends on their quest, and so might the fate of Fionn's heart. It sounds cute, it sounds sweet, and I think I'm gonna love it. And then finally, Where the Dark Stands Still by A.B. Poranek. I don't know if you can see just how gorgeous this cover is. Like, there we go, get some light on that. All over it. It looks a little bit dark and plain, but then like when it catches light, it's so gorgeous. It's so incredibly beautiful. She'll just look at that. Like when you look at it straight on, it looks like that. Give it some light. Oh my goodness. I'm in love. I'm in love with this cover. This one says, Liska knows that magic is monstrous and its practitioners are monsters. She has done everything possible to suppress her own magic to disastrous consequences. Desperate to be free of it, Liska flees her small village and delves into the dangerous, demon-infested spirit wood to steal a mythical fern flower. If she plucks it, she can use its one wish to banish her powers. Everyone who has sought the fern flower has fallen prey to unknown horrors. So when Liska is caught by the demon warden of the wood called the Lezzy, a bargain seems better than death. 1 year of servitude in exchange for the fern flower's wish. Whisked away to the Lezzy's crumbling, I don't know if I'm saying that right, it's Leszzy. The Lezzy's crumbling manor, Liska soon makes an unsettling discovery. She is not the first person to strike this bargain, and all of her predecessors have mysteriously vanished. If Liska wants to survive the year and return home, she must unravel her host's spool of secrets and face the ghosts, figurative and literal, of his past. Because something wakes in the woods, something deadly and without mercy, something that frightens even the Lezzy, and it cannot be defeated unless Liska embraces the monster she's always feared becoming. So, that sounds perfect for the dark, dark days of November. Can I just tell you that this candle smells amazing? It's so good. I am really into that. Yeah, that's what I'm reading in the month of November. At least that's what I think I'm reading in the month of November. We'll see what actually happens. I am really, really inspired to read all of these, though. I think every single one of them is going to be an amazing story, and that's what I want. I want stories. You will notice a concerted lack of nonfiction. I know that November has traditionally been, all the years that I've been on BookTube, Nonfiction November. But Olive isn't doing Nonfiction November anymore. And at first I thought, well, I've got to pick nonfiction books. But none of them were speaking to me. I didn't want nonfiction right now. I wanted stories. So I'm giving myself stories. Do you have any idea what you want to read in the month of November? And have you read any of these? Are you excited about any of these? Let me know. And as always, until we meet again, let's go read.